Today, I want to go a bit deeper and explore yet another regularly overlooked factor that's been shown to be foundational for both well-being and peak performance lawyering. That factor is meaning, which involves feeling like you have a sense of purpose in life, like your actions are valuable and worthwhile, and like you are serving something greater than yourself. Hello, and welcome to Positive Lawyering, a series designed to help you harness science-backed insights from positive psychology to enjoy greater satisfaction and sustainable success in your life and law practice. My name is Jordana Confino, and I am delighted to be accompanying you on this journey. We experience the greatest meaning when we are living in line with our intrinsic values. That is, the things that are most important to us or central to our sense of self, rather than focusing on extrinsic achievements or what we think we should be doing. And it turns out that our sense of meaning has a major impact on both our mood and our performance. One study of over 6,000 lawyers found that authenticity, which includes alignment with intrinsic values, is one of the strongest predictors of long-term lawyer well-being, followed closely by relatedness or feelings of belonging, which we explored in an earlier episode. And an impressive body of research shows that employees who find their work meaningful are not only happier, but they also experience higher engagement, job performance, and longevity in their jobs. In fact, there is such a strong relationship between values alignment and motivation that organizational psychologists have come to call meaningfulness the superstar motivator. And yet, countless lawyers get far into their careers without ever stopping to think about what their values are to begin with. And others may start out with a strong sense of their values, but lose sight of them amidst the stress and pressures of daily life. Indeed, one study found that over the course of the 1L year, law students experience a significant shift from intrinsic to extrinsic values, as well as a shift in their motivation for becoming lawyers from internal purposes such as interest, enjoyment, and meaning to external drivers such as financial gain, recognition, and the desire to impress others. And there's no reason to believe that this shift goes away once law students enter practice. Fortunately, however, the research shows that no matter how far you are into your career, it is never too late to recognize that you've fallen out of alignment or to recalibrate. So in our remaining time together today, I would love to guide you through that process. In the accompanying resources, you'll find a document labeled Values Discovery Guide. I encourage you to pull that up, survey the list of values on the last page, and highlight or check off the values that resonate most with you. You can feel free to add any values that you care about that aren't listed. Once you finish that step, return to the list of values you've selected and narrow it down to your top 3 to 5 values, the ones that you deem most important or central to your sense of self. Why only 3 to 5 values? Because when you try to prioritize too many things, you really prioritize nothing. For instance, it's easy to say that you value honesty and kindness, but what happens when those values conflict? Because in the situation at hand, telling the truth will only hurt someone you care about without providing any constructive benefit. Your decision will say something about how you prioritize your different values. And it's not at all uncommon for our values to require us to make these kinds of difficult trade-offs. Once you've identified your core values, the next step is to get clear on what those values mean to you and why they are important to you. This step is critical because different people may have different and even conflicting interpretations of the same word. For instance, if you say you value freedom, that could mean that you value financial freedom, freedom with your time and schedule, freedom in your relationships, or many other things. Once you've clarified your values, the next step is to assess how well you're currently honoring each value by scoring yourself on a scale from 1 to 10, with 1 being not at all honoring that value and 10 being fully living into that value in your daily life. If you find yourself surprised or disappointed by any of your scores, do not worry. That is extremely common and understandable. As I noted earlier, it is so easy to get swept up in the hustle of daily life and to lose sight of our values without even realizing it. This happens to me all the time, and I literally teach this stuff for a living. That is why doing exercises like this are so important, because they empower us to recognize when we're out of alignment and to take steps to recalibrate. Speaking of recalibrating, the next step is to select one of your values and identify concrete action steps that you can take to increase your score by honoring that value more fully or intentionally. When you do this, it's important to note that there are many different gradations of changes that you can make to increase your alignment. While some people may decide to undertake a total transformation, living more fully into your values does not require discarding your old life or ambitions and beginning anew. The reality is that most people cannot dramatically alter their career path or other core aspects of their lives, nor would they want to. But that does not mean that they can't make meaningful changes to afford themselves a greater sense of purpose or fulfillment. Instead, living your values simply requires placing a greater emphasis on and making a greater commitment to activities, experiences, and relationships that further those values, even if it's just in little ways. So for instance, one of my top values is connection. And the first time that I did an exercise like this years ago, I realized that I wasn't honoring that value at all. To the contrary, I can still remember telling my parents that I was so lonely it physically hurt. And while I ultimately ended up making some larger changes with respect to my career path, there were other, much smaller tweaks that I made well before then to more fully honor my value of connection. For instance, by carving out just a little bit of time each day to nurture my personal relationships and seeking out opportunities to mentor more junior colleagues. There can be no question that these minor changes not only made me happier, but also left me feeling more energized and engaged in my job. So I encourage you to start small when identifying the action steps that you will take to further honor your values, and to make those action steps specific and to start soon. That is, rather than asking yourself, what would it take to increase my alignment score 4 or 5 points eventually, ask yourself, what could I do to raise my score by 1 point or even half a point tomorrow? This will make you far more likely to actually act, and you can later build on the momentum generated by your newfound sense of purpose and progress. I hope you will join me for our next episode. Until then, take care, friend.